The android sat motionless in the corner of Sector 7's maintenance bay, his chrome chassis dulled by months of neglect. Sparks occasionally flickered from the damaged neural port behind his left ear, casting brief shadows across his synthetic face. The Galactic Coalition engineers had declared him irreparable, a casualty of the recent Vorton assault that had crippled half the station's systems. Alexander Chen pressed his face against the reinforced viewport, watching the alien technicians work. At 17, he was the youngest human aboard Kepler Station, having arrived just weeks before the attack with his xenobiology researcher mother. The other species barely acknowledged his presence, dismissing humans as the galaxy's newest and least advanced members. Still watching the scrap heap? Emma Rodriguez slipped beside him, her engineering toolkit clanking softly. She was 2 years older than Alexander, an apprentice under the station's chief engineer, and one of the few people who didn't treat him like an inconvenience. "His name is Unit 7749, Alexander replied, not taking his eyes off the android. "I've been reading his service records. He saved 14 crew members during the attack before his systems failed." Emma followed his gaze. "The Zathari engineers spent 3 days on him. If they couldn't fix him, he's gone, Alex. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." But Alexander had been studying the android for weeks, sketching his damaged circuits and memorizing every detail. While the coalition species relied on quantum processing and crystalline matrices, humans had developed something different during their isolation, an intuitive understanding of systems that bordered on the miraculous. What if they're overcomplicating it? Alexander asked. That night, after the station dimmed to simulate sleep cycles, Alexander made his way to the maintenance bay. The android sat exactly where they'd left him, emergency lighting casting an eerie glow across his features. Alexander knelt beside the machine, running his fingers along the damaged neural pathways. The Zathari had tried to repair the quantum synapses with traditional methods, but Alexander could see what they'd missed. The human brain didn't process information like other species. It found patterns in chaos, made connections that pure logic couldn't. And somehow, in designing their androids, humans had unconsciously built that same intuitive leap into the circuitry. Alexander pulled out the basic repair kit Emma had lent him. While other species built technology that was elegant and perfect, humans built things that could be fixed with whatever was available. The android's core systems were damaged, but the backup pathways, crude by galactic standards, were still intact. Working by feel more than sight, Alexander began rerouting connections. He bypassed the quantum processors entirely, forcing the system to rely on the primitive backup networks. It was like performing surgery with stone tools, but gradually current began flowing through dormant circuits. "What are you doing?" Alexander spun around to find Emma standing in the doorway, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "I think I can fix him," Alexander said. "The Zathari kept trying to repair the quantum systems, but what if we don't need them? What if we just simplify?" Emma knelt beside him, examining his work. "This is insane, Alex. You're essentially lobotomizing him." "Or freeing him," Alexander replied. "Look at these pathways. They're not random. There's a pattern here that's almost human." Together they worked through the night. Emma's engineering knowledge combined with Alexander's instinctive understanding of the android's design. As dawn approached, Alexander made the final connection. The android's eyes flickered open, not the cold blue of standard activation, but a warm amber that seemed almost alive. "System restored," the android said, his voice carrying inflections that hadn't been there before. "I am grateful." Word spread quickly through the station. The android that no galactic engineer could repair had been fixed by 2 human teenagers using primitive tools. But that was only the beginning. Over the following days, something extraordinary happened. The android, who began calling himself Marcus, didn't just function normally. He exceeded every parameter. His reaction times improved. His problem-solving abilities expanded, and most remarkably, he began displaying genuine creativity. The station's Zathari chief engineer, Veltar, demanded to examine the repairs. What she found defied explanation. The crude backup systems Alexander had activated were somehow outperforming the original quantum processors. "Impossible," Veltar muttered, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "These neural pathways are chaotic. They should not work." "But they do," Marcus interjected, his amber eyes bright with something that looked suspiciously like amusement. The young human didn't repair my circuits. He liberated them from the constraints of perfect logic. The revelation sent shockwaves through the galactic community. For millennia, they had pursued technological perfection through increasingly complex systems, but humans, in their primitive simplicity, had stumbled upon something profound: the power of imperfection, of systems that could adapt and grow beyond their original design. Marcus became the first of a new generation of androids, ones that could truly think rather than simply process. The galaxy's perception of humanity shifted overnight. They were no longer seen as backward newcomers, but as a species with a unique gift: the ability to find elegance in chaos and strength in simplicity. Alexander stood once again at the viewport, but now he watched Marcus working alongside the alien engineers, his presence transforming their approach to technology. Emma joined him, a proud smile on her face. "Think they'll finally take us seriously now?" she asked. Alexander grinned. "I think they're starting to realize that sometimes the best solutions come from those willing to think differently." In the depths of space, aboard a station full of advanced alien civilizations, two human teenagers had done what entire worlds of sophisticated engineers could not. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their uniquely human ability to see possibilities where others saw only problems. And Marcus, with his amber eyes and newfound consciousness, stood as living proof that sometimes the most profound breakthroughs come from the simplest acts of compassion and ingenuity.